Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Today's lecture is the last in this series of 15 questions of general aptitude for the GATE 24 examination. In today's video, we are going to be looking at some logical reasoning questions which are of the inference based category. So lot of these type of questions have been asked by GATE over the last few years, and specifically in GATE 23 we saw a variety of these questions across all branches. So let us practice a few of those type of questions, right? So the first question on your screen, pause the video, read it carefully, try to understand what has been told, read the options carefully, and then you can play the video and cross check with the reasoning that is explained. A survey for a certain year found that 70% of research papers are proofread at least once before being published. Of these research papers, 80% are proofread by the researchers' team, while 20% are proofread by third-party agencies. So, given this information, which one of the following statements can be inferred with certainty? Right? So, this is the passage that has been given to me. If you have any such percentage type of passage given, then you can quantify this data. So suppose I have total research papers to be 100. Suppose the total research paper is, let's say, 100. So they are saying that in a certain year it was found that 70% of research papers are proofread at least once before being published, right? So proofread at least once is going to be 70% or 70. They are proofread at least once. And of these research papers, 80% are proofread by the researchers team. So 80% of this 70 is nothing but 56. So 56 are proofread by the researchers team, and the remaining, that is 14, remaining is done by your third party agencies, right? So this is the data that we have in this passage. That's all has been given. So now on the basis of this data, which of these options stands true? So if I have 100 total papers which are proofread at least, 100 is the total number of papers that we have, of which 70 are proofread at least one. Of this, out of the 70, 56 are done by the researcher's own team and 14 by third party agency. So let's see first option. A majority of the research papers which were proofread at least once are done so by the researcher's team. So majority of research papers which were proofread at least once, that means 70, right? 70 research papers are proofread at least once. Majority of them, that means anything more than half. So obviously 56 is the majority of 70, so this is true, right? 70 ka half is 35, so anything more than 35 will count as majority. So this is correct. What about the next option? A majority of research papers which were proofread at least once are done so by third party agency? Not true, right? This is incorrect. Approximately 50% of all research papers are proofread at least once by the researcher's team. Is this correct? Approximately 50% of all research papers. So all research paper is 100. Approximately 50% means 50 research papers should be proofread by the researcher's team. That's what this is saying. But we can see that 56 are proofread by the researcher's team, not 50. So approximately 50 is not the correct percentage here. 56 and 50 are far away from each other. So this is not correct. Approximately 50% are not proofread, 56% are proofread. Approximately 30% of all research papers are not proofread even once before being published. Approximately 30% of all research papers are not proofread. Now in this passage, we have been told that 70% of research papers are proofread at least once. Now does that mean that the remaining 30% are not proofread at least once? No, that is not necessary. So that's what you need to understand. In this inference based passage, you cannot assume or you cannot conclude anything which is not explicitly mentioned in the passage given in the question, right? So here we have been told that 70% are proofread at least once, but that does not automatically mean that 30% are not proofread even once. It could mean anything. Maybe they are proofread at least twice, at least thrice, right? Anything is possible. So this is something which is not going to be correct, which we cannot conclude with confidence, or we cannot conclude definitely from the given passage. So option A is correct. That is a majority of the research papers which are proofread at least once are done so by the researchers team. Clear? Now this is the next type of question. Again, give it a good read. Read the options carefully. Read the passage carefully, and then you can attempt the question. Deep sea is inhabited by different types of creatures. Some of these deep sea creatures are sea slugs, which have really big eyes. Some deep sea creatures are red in color and some are transparent. All creatures that are red in color have really big eyes. Okay. Based on the information provided above, which one of the following options can be logically inferred with certainty? Okay. So again, let's try to make sense of what has been given. So we have deep sea, which is inhabited by different type of creatures. Okay. So we have creatures, and some of these deep sea creatures are sea slugs. Some are your sea slugs, and all of these sea slugs, like which have really big eyes, means all of these sea slugs are going to be having big eyes. Fine, good enough. Again, some of these deep sea creatures are red in color. Some of them are red, and some are transparent. Fine, some are transparent. All creatures that are red in color have really big eyes. Okay, so again, those who are red in color, all of them have got big eyes, right? So this is what we have. So we have creatures, some of them are sea slug, all sea slugs have big eyes. Creatures, some of them are red, all of them have big eyes, and some of them are transparent. So let us look at the options one by one. All of these deep sea creatures that have really big eyes are sea slugs. All creatures that have big eyes are sea slugs. Is it necessary? No, because we can see that some red also have big eyes, and we don't have any relation between red and sea slugs as such. So this cannot be concluded definitely. Some deep sea creatures that are red do not have big eyes. This is not true, because we have been given that all creatures that are red have big eyes. So all who are red have big eyes. So it's not possible that some don't. Third option, some deep sea creatures without big eyes are bright red in color. Without big eyes. Now see, without big eyes, we have not been given any information about them in the passage. We only know that sea slugs have big eyes, and we know that all those in red in color have big eyes, but we have no information about those who don't have big eyes. So we cannot conclude anything about this particular option. It may be true, may not be true, not the correct answer. Some deep sea creatures with big eyes are bright red in color. This is obviously true, right? Because we have been given that all red have big eyes, right? So some deep sea creatures with big eyes are red in color. This is definitely true. Clear? So this is a kind of a depiction that you can use for solving these type of questions, so that you can understand what is the relation between the sentences, or what is the relation between the categories that have been given to us. So this is the last question for today's lesson, as well as our entire series of 15 questions of general aptitude for GATE 2024. This is a passage type of a question. I have intentionally included this question because this was asked in the general aptitude section of a few branches in GATE 23. So give it a try, give it a read, try to understand what the passage is conveying and what are the options that are following it. Anselm of Canterbury was a medieval theologian. According to Anselm's ontological argument for the existence of God, accidental beings are all those things whose non-existence could be imagined without inherent contradiction, and necessary beings are those things whose existence is guaranteed precisely by what they are. Because accidental beings could not have guaranteed that they ever would come into existence, there must be a necessary being upon whom all accidental beings depend to bring them into existence, and this necessary being is God, who therefore clearly must exist. So based on the above paragraph, which of the following statements is true? So let's try to make sense of what is exactly happening. So there is this person, even if you cannot pronounce his name, forget it. Let us assume it to be A. So there is this person A who has given an argument about the existence of God, right? So he is saying that two different type of beings exist. There are accidental beings, all of those things whose non-existence could be imagined without inherent contradiction. So you have accidental beings, and then you have necessary beings, are those things whose existence is guaranteed precisely by what they are. So he is saying that there are two type of beings. We have accidental beings and necessary beings. Accidental beings, this line that all of those things whose non-existence could be imagined without any contradiction, means their existence doesn't matter, whereas necessary beings are those whose existence matters, right? That's what we can conclude. Now, because accidental beings could not have guaranteed that they ever would have come into existence, there must be a necessary being upon whom all accidental beings depend. So this is the main argument, that there has to be a necessary being on whom these accidental beings depend, because accidental beings themselves cannot come into existence, and that necessary being is God, and so God definitely exists. So this is his logic, right? This is how he's giving an argument. So as per this person A, there are two type of beings, accidental beings and necessary beings. So accidental beings are those whom we can do without, and necessary beings are those which are necessary, right? And because accidental beings cannot exist on their own, they depend on a necessary being. That necessary being is God, and because all necessary being exists, so God exists. That's what his reasoning is. So it sounds complicated, but let us look at the options one by one to see which of the options, makes similar sense to what we just understood. First option says no other theologian except Anselm of Canterbury has explained the existence of God. Can we conclude this? No, we can't. We have no information about other theologians except the one mentioned here. So forget about it. As per Anselm, the accidental beings depend on a necessary being for existence. Yes, this is true, this is correct. This is explicitly mentioned in the passage, that because accidental beings could not guarantee that they would ever come into existence, there must be a necessary being on whom all accidental beings depend, right? That's what we understood. Accidental beings depend on a necessary being. That's what the argument of this person is. So B holds true. Both accidental beings and necessary beings exist. We don't know. This is a theologian. He is proposing a theory. So this is not something which exists. Theologian means you're giving some kind of an argument. You're giving some kind of a theory. We don't know practically it is possible or not. So this cannot be concluded. There could be a third category about whom Anselm does not know, and hence he has not given any theory. People other than theologians may also believe in the existence of God. Again, completely out of scope, not correct. So the correct option is going to be sentence number B. So remember two things. First and foremost, when you have such a complex kind of a passage, the options are going to be relatively simple, and it is going to be easy for you to eliminate the wrong options, and by the process of elimination you are going to arrive at the correct answer. So that's the first thing, right? So if the passage looks very complicated, just try to make some idea of what is being told. Just try to understand what is the underlying idea being conveyed in the passage, and then go through the options. Chances are that the options are going to be very, very simple, very easy, and you will be easily able to eliminate the incorrect options and arrive at the correct option. The second thing is, solve or attempt these type of questions only when you have covered everything else. And by everything else, I mean your technical syllabus also, your technical subjects also. You have completed the entire paper. You can mark for review this question, and then you can come back to this question if you have time in the end. Because this is a type of question where you might end up spending a lot of time. You might end up spending 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and you will not be able to understand what is being told in the passage, or worse, you might take the incorrect answer and get a negative marks, right? So don't do that, avoid that. If you find a passage like this which is really not making any sense to you, because it is possible, because right now we are not in an examination kind of environment, right? So we are reading the question carefully, taking our own sweet time, but in the examination that is not possible. You have to quickly read the question and decide whether you want to do it now or you want to do it later. So this is the type of question you mark for review, and you come back to it once you have completed everything else. So this is the practice question for you, a logical reasoning inference type of a question. Give it a good try. Let us know your answer in the comment section below. After 24 hours, the correct answer will be posted in the first comment of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you watch the other lectures of this series also. It will be available on Exergix YouTube channel. I hope you found these videos helpful. If you have any doubts or any questions about the questions that we have discussed in this series, make sure you comment and I will definitely get back to you. All the very best for the examination. Take care.